That's the surface noise in football, right? Good, because today we're doing just that. First up, we're diving into that big Europa League final, Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur.
A massive game.
Definitely. And then we'll kind of zoom out a bit, look at the the bigger picture. What happens to football as the Ronaldo and Messi era starts to fade?
It's a fascinating transition period. So yeah, the mission today is connecting that immediate final drama with those longer-term shifts in the game.
Right. Let's start with the final then. United against Spurs. I mean, even without the latest team news, you just know this is going to be intense. What makes this one feel, I don't know, particularly significant right now?
Well, I think it's where both clubs find themselves. For United's, look, winning this isn't just another trophy. It's validation, proof that the current project is working, delivering something tangible like European silverware.
Yeah, a real marker.
Exactly. And for Spurs, well, they've been waiting a long time for a major trophy. Winning this could be huge psychologically, maybe kickstart something new, prove their own project is heading somewhere successful.
Totally agree. And you start thinking tactically.
Oh, hey, welcome. What's up?
Hello, I'm Junior. What do you think it is like now with Spurs even being the Europa League final without Harry Kane? Do you think it's a good possibility to win the trophy, or it's a big step for them to go further into winning a trophy of some sort without Harry Kane? Because there was a lot of debates with Spurs not doing well after Harry Kane, but I had the strong feeling that they would make a strong impact without him. What do you think about that?
Okay, let's unpack this a little. You're asking about Harry Kane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how his presence or absence might affect Tottenham's chances in the final.
It's a massive question, and you're right. There's been a lot of talk about it. He's such a pivotal player for them.
Absolutely. I mean, his goal-scoring record speaks for itself. So without him, you'd think it would be a significant hurdle.
Precisely. His ability to not only score, but also to link play, bring others into the game, that's hard to replace.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Sometimes, when a key player is out, it forces a team to adapt, right?
Exactly. Other players might step up, find new roles, and the team dynamic can shift in unexpected ways.
So, while not having a player of Kane's caliber is undoubtedly a blow, it might also be an opportunity for Spurs to show their tactical flexibility and the strength of their squad depth.
It raises an important question about their overall strategy. Do they have a plan B that can be just as effective in a high-stakes game like this?
And that midfield battle we were about to mention, that becomes even more crucial if your main goal threat isn't on the pitch.
Oh, absolutely. Control the middle, dictate the tempo, starve United of possession. That could be their path to victory if Kane isn't fully fit or doesn't play.
And thinking about adaptability, which we were just getting to, that applies even more if a key player is missing. Teams have to find different ways to win.
Right. It's less about relying on one individual and more about the collective effort, the tactical execution from everyone on the pitch.
Okay, this still connects to the bigger picture, doesn't it? We were about to talk about how the game might change as the Ronaldo and Messi era winds down.
What's fascinating here is how reliance on a single superstar might shift. If teams can't always count on that individual brilliance, the collective becomes even more vital.
So what happens next for teams like Spurs, maybe, who have relied heavily on a player like Kane?
It really opens things up, doesn't it? They might need to develop more varied attacking threats, build a team where the goals and creativity come from different sources.
Does the game itself change in that scenario? Less focus on one dominant forward?
It could. We might see a greater emphasis on strong midfield play, solid defensive structures, and clinical finishing from whoever gets the opportunity. Oh, go for it.
Yeah. What do you also think about Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho?
And that's a fair point. It makes you think about how much even one key player, like Kane we've been discussing, can influence a team's chances.
Absolutely. We were about to touch on why even top clubs like Real Madrid might have periods where they aren't at their absolute best.
Right. It's not always about a complete collapse, is it? Sometimes it just comes down to the impact of missing key personnel.
Exactly. Think about it in the context of this final. If Tottenham are without their main striker, it's going to disrupt their usual game plan.
Chemistry definitely takes time to rebuild when key players are out or new ones come in. That can affect any team, no matter how talented.
And the competition is always evolving. Other teams are constantly analyzing and finding ways to exploit any weaknesses.
So you always have to be ready to adapt and find new solutions, especially when facing those challenges with important players.
That really brings us back to the United versus Spurs final. We've looked at how Kane's potential absence could reshape Tottenham's approach.
And we've also considered how this situation reflects a broader trend in football, where reliance on individual brilliance might be shifting.
And it highlights the crucial need for teams to be adaptable and have strength and depth across the squad.
So for you listening, how do you think the possibility of a key player being out changes how it...
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, a key player being out, especially for Spurs, I don't think it changes.
For Spurs specific. Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, for Spurs specifically, I don't think it changes much. I think they will still find a way to try and win the game without a specific player in the team. I think the team is more collective now than an individuality compared to United. United still have their individuals that will perform. It's only currently and recently they've been trying to perform as a team collective underneath Ruben Almiron. But I think, it'll be a very good game to see, if the individualities turn up or if it's the teams that turn up more than the individualities. So, yeah, we will see what happens. Thank you.
That's a really interesting take. You're highlighting the idea of collective strength versus individual reliance.
Okay, let's unpack this. You're suggesting that Tottenham's current setup might be less dependent on a single star player like Kane compared to how maybe Manchester United operates.
Precisely. And that even if a key individual is missing, the collective unit of Spurs might be strong enough to compensate.
It's almost like you're saying the team itself has become the star, in a way, more than any one player.
Exactly. And that speaks to the evolution of team dynamics in football, doesn't it?
Here's where it gets really interesting. This idea of a strong collective being crucial.
That really connects to why even historically dominant teams like Real Madrid can go through periods of not being at the very top.
Right, we were about to get into that. It's not always a simple case of talent disappearing.
No. Sometimes it's about the balance of the collective, how well the team functions as a unit, especially when faced with changes in personnel.
So even a team packed with stars needs that cohesive element, that understanding between the players.
Absolutely. And when that chemistry is disrupted or when key players are unavailable, even the most talented squads can struggle to consistently perform at their peak.
It makes you think about how different managers approach building a team. Some focusing on individual brilliance, others prioritizing that collective strength you mentioned.
And we're seeing both. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, with United, I think Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro and speaking of Diallo as well and Ahmad, I think they've got a very strong collective of players that could help the team maybe win this final by a bit of an edge, but I don't like to speak too soon now. We'll just see what unravels as the game goes. I'm sure the fans and the other spectators will agree with me. Maybe even the Spurs fans may agree with me on this. But I do think it's a good game that we'll see and be entertained by, really, from two clubs that, have everything to go for, as they're not doing too well in the Premier League, especially for United.
Okay, let's unpack your thoughts here. You're emphasizing the collective strength of Tottenham, even mentioning players beyond Kane.
It's interesting that you see that collective as potentially stronger than the individual brilliance we sometimes see from United.
And you're right, we will just have to see how that dynamic plays out on the pitch.
It definitely adds another layer to our discussion about how teams can achieve success in different ways.
It makes you wonder if that collective approach is becoming more important in modern football.
Which, as we were saying, ties into why even a club with Real Madrid's history might have periods where they aren't consistently winning everything.
Right. It's not just about having great players, it's about how those players function together as a unit.
And that cohesion can be affected by so many things, from managerial changes to player form.
So when we look at why Real Madrid might not be at the very top right now,
it could be less about a lack of individual talent and more about that collective balance you were just mentioning with Spurs.
It certainly would add another layer to that discussion, wouldn't it? How that team dynamic influences even the biggest clubs.
Potentially. The outcome of this final could give us some real-world examples of these different approaches in action.
Absolutely. It'd be fascinating to see whether that collective strength you're highlighting can overcome individual star power.
Thanks again for sharing your perspective. It really adds so much to our understanding of the game.
We appreciate you jumping in and giving us.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. And I appreciate you guys having me on today's podcast.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours. We absolutely love having you join the conversation.
Your insights have been fantastic. You've really added a great dimension to our discussion.
Yeah, it's so much better when we can bounce these ideas off someone who's just as into it as we are.
Absolutely. And your point about the collective strength of a team versus individual brilliance is something we were just about to explore further with Real Madrid.
Right. It's that exact dynamic we wanted to delve into. Why a team full of incredible players might still have periods where they aren't dominating.
So, building on your thoughts, it makes you wonder if Real Madrid's occasional dips in form are less about individual players and more about that team cohesion.
Exactly. It's not like their star power suddenly vanished. Maybe the collective unit wasn't quite clicking at certain times.
And that's a crucial element in football, isn't it? That understanding and synergy between players.
Definitely. You can have all the talent in the world, but if they're not working together seamlessly.
It can be a real challenge to consistently perform at the highest level, just like you were saying about team spirit potentially outweighing individual brilliance.
So when we look at Real Madrid, it's not just about who they have on the pitch, but how those individuals function as a team.
And that's a constantly evolving thing. New players come in, others leave, managers change. It all impacts that collective dynamic.
Which brings us full circle, in a way, back to the United versus Spurs final. We've talked about how Tottenham might approach it with a focus on the team.
And your point really underscores how crucial that collective will be, regardless of individual absences or brilliance on the other side.
It's not always the team with the biggest names that wins, is it? Sometimes it's the one that functions best as a unit.
Precisely. And your contributions today have really helped us explore that idea from a different angles.
Thanks again for being such a great part of the podcast. We really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us.
We're so glad you joined us. It's always a better conversation with your input.